And welcome back again to Mindset Monday. I'm Gene Zanetti, your coast-to-coast mindset coach from Winning Mindset. Hold on, let's get this. Welcome back to Mindset Monday. I'm Gene Zanetti, your coast-to-coast mindset coach from Wrestling Mindset. That's a little bit bright. It's a little bit dark. All right, we're gonna have to do without it. Maybe if we move it this way. Yeah. All right, Coach, we're getting ready to bring you on in right now. Coach, how's it going?
How are you?
Good. How's everything going? What are you up to?
It's going. It's just trying to stay busy, man, during this pandemic and everything that's going on, with the schools being shut down.
Yeah. What have the kids been up to?
It's all over the map. I mean, I think most of them are trying to work out. We have some in Providence that are trying to get workouts in, but it's hard. You can't really get in the room. So they're just trying to go to local clubs, or some states are more open than others, so they can get workouts in. So it just depends on where they're at, how much they're active other than lifting.
Yeah. I always make that mistake. I always say the kids. I mean the athletes, right? A lot of that's the thing. It's like they're not the kids. Like, these are college. These are grown men. They're old enough to go off into a war if need be. God forbid, but
Yeah.
So what do you tell them to do? That's right. What do you tell them to do during this time to sharpen their physical, their mental, their strength, conditioning?
I think it's just stay active, try to wake up with a plan every day, and be intentional about your workouts. Try to make sure you're getting some kind of lifts in or something to stay active. But it's been hard. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's been hard to get some guys are better at it than others. Some are dealing well with the pandemic and others aren't. I think some of the kids have suffered some hardship through this, so it hasn't been easy, Gene.
Yeah, how much of a predictor is this of life success, where people, when they get adversity thrown their way, and you have some people who are really, maybe they might be really good athletes, but they're just unable to adapt, whereas you might have others who might not necessarily be at the top of the food chain, but they are able to adapt. How much does that play a factor into their future skills and their career?
I mean, you can never predict how people are going to react under different circumstances. I think that some deal with it a lot better than others, and I think that some have been exposed to need a little bit more support than others, and others, it's amazing what they've been able to do during this time.
Yeah, definitely. Talk about some of your coaching philosophies, some of the things that you've learned in your career, your experiences coaching, where you want your kids to be mentally and just all around.
I think you got to remember, Gene, I have an extensive football background. So I played football since I was 7 years old, and football was my sport. So I kind of approach wrestling with a different mindset a little bit, as far as I think sometimes wrestling, the sport of wrestling sometimes can breed a lot of selfish people, unless you are very intentional about making it a team. I can't stand it when people, identify us as an individual sport, because I totally disagree. I think it's a team sport. You're only as good as your partners and the guys in the room. And I think if you look at Johnson & Wales, you'll see that a lot of everything we do has to do with our community and building culture. And you do that with your dual meet season. You're not going to do that with your individual tournament stuff. And I think my philosophy is just creating exceptional experiences for these kids through the sport of wrestling and through team and family. It's a family. Everyone says that, but what are you doing to truly build that team culture? And I think every kid on our team, whether you're the bottom third, you're wrestling 30, 40, sometimes, unless you're going O2 barbecue, almost every kid on our team wrestles 30 plus times.
Wow.
But it's really during those dual meets where we create that team atmosphere. But my philosophy as a coach is basically one that I just feel it's like a football coach. If you got guys that big strong linemen, you can run off tackle, and then the next year you might have small linemen. You got to go to the spread. It's the same thing in wrestling. I was going through some stats on my guys, and it's amazing how you got guys that were multiple time All-Americans that only had like 70 takedowns in 4 years. And then you got other guys that had 400 takedowns. And some guys are just really good in different positions. And I kind of developed it when I was a vice principal. We'd be in these meetings with parents, and they'd be complaining about little Johnny, and he's struggling in algebra, and he's got a C minus, and they're just focusing on how terrible he's doing in algebra. But the kid's exceptional in English. He's exceptional in other areas. So translate that into wrestling. You got kids that are really good in the top position, but they're terrible on their feet. So when coaches are out there recruiting, they're like, this kid's terrible. Well, he's terrible in one position, but when he gets on top of people, he rips the arms off, So it's like, I think what we do is we take whatever, if I see a kid that's successful, we don't try to change him at Johnson & Wales. We kind of try to tailor our coaching towards the kid, because by the time I try to change them and make them wrestle, if I try to make Bobby Jordan wrestle like Jay Albus, by the time you make it so where Bobby is, they graduate. You only got a few years. So why not focus on their best positions, and they're going to enjoy the sport more because they're going to do things that they're really good at already. I always tell the kids, your best takedown is going to probably be the takedown, and your best takedown in college is probably going to be the best takedown you had in high school because you've been doing it the longest. So it's like just getting them to buy into the fact that we're not going to change anything about you. We're going to add to what you already do well. And then that's kind of my philosophy.
I think that's a really important point, Coach, because I've seen a lot of me personally experiencing this at a high level, and new coach last 2 years of college, and basically, hey, we want you going collar, tie, and inside. When my whole life I've been elbow control, and it's like, I'm done now. It's not like, now maybe that might be the case if I'm going for like international Olympics, and I'm thinking 10 years down the line. But you're looking at a guy who's clearly looking at it at 2 years left in his entire career. And we're trying to get them to switch their tie up. It just doesn't make sense. You only have so much time.
Yeah, and I think going back to the football reference, you had coaches that only ran wing T, and there were years where we didn't have our personnel did not fit the wing T. So it's the same thing. You're not going to put Mikey Gargano and try to make him a takedown guy when he's 6'4" and can't even do a penetration step. But if you teach him to try to develop something where you're sitting in the corner and you're developing other ways to score, and again, we have a very diverse coaching staff. So if you don't connect with me, you're going to connect with Coach Allen, Coach Gilbert,
right,
Coach Frank, Coach Drell, all the kids who have come to the program and coached. So you're going to connect with somebody that can help you towards your skill set.
That's great. And I really
breaking up.
Okay. How about now?
You broke.
Good.
All right, I got you now.
Yeah. I really like how you said before about you have to make it a conscious effort to make it a team sport, because you're right. It has crept into our minds. I'm guilty of it. And you're right. I feel like when I was always looking at it, it's an individual sport. And then sometimes you use that as justification. Well, maybe I don't have to move the mats, where I don't have to help out in this area. It bleeds into other areas. And you're right. It could actually breed very selfish individuals if we're not consciously making the effort to make this about virtue and building team building and skills. That's very important, because you're right. What lessons are you now taking into your career, your future business? If you're not a team player, you're in big trouble.
Right. I get frustrated because I see other programs and they're only focused on like their top third, and they're one or two guys that might get them to the NCAA tournament, and they don't care about dual meets and they don't put any thought into it. I think, I always, when I'm recruiting, I'm like, I tell every parent, reach out, go on my roster, use social media, reach out to the bottom third guys on my roster and ask them what their experiences have been. And I think I'm confident that because anyone can coach your All-Americans, your national champs, but are you developing your bottom third and your middle? What kind of experience are you giving those kids? And I think that really defines you as a coach, because I mean, it's autopilot sometimes with the top third. They already come in with a good skill set. You tweak them a little bit here and there, maybe manage them with the strategy, but it's also you got to kind of pull back the reins on those kids sometimes, because some of those kids, they're so focused on it being about them all the time. They were the only good kid on their team, and you got to really teach them how to be grateful and humble and care about those bottom third kids, because without those bottom third kids, it's like you got to say, hey, you can't just think that because you're a freshman and you're an All-American, you're not going to move mats, you're not going to do all those things. Those all things are important, or you're not going to have that same feeling. Those bottom third kids are going to hate you. They're not going to like you because you're going to think they're better than them. So we try to focus on we would never ask you to do anything, and it starts with me, right? I'm never going to ask them to do something that I'm not going to do myself, so it's and that's just kind of how we carry ourselves in the program.
That's phenomenal. And I think any parents that are watching, whether it's live right now or you're watching this on YouTube,
yeah,
coach, you brought up, like I said, that's a tremendous point. That ask the third guy in the lineup, that's not varsity or JV, the third place guy, whatever you want to call it, and how are they, the bottom third, like you said, and how did they enjoy the experience right now? I remember reading a psychology book before, asking people or saying that if you want to understand how someone appreciates, whether it be a car or living in a certain development, you want to speak to the person now, not looking back on their career, because now it's kind of flavored by nostalgia and all that kind of stuff. You need to ask someone who's in the thick of it right now. And I like how you said, go to the bottom third, because that's extremely telling. Most parents do the opposite. They ask the stud on the team how it is, and that's just not representative of the overall college experience, the college athletic experience they're getting. That's great.
Yeah, I think it frustrates me because there are so many things that pop up for recruiting, and parents are paying for all these sites and all this stuff for recruiting. I mean, if there's any message I can give every kid out there, when the college coaches get these cookie cutter and they're sending you an email, you don't know if the kid's good, he's not good. You don't know if it's coming from what is that, Gene? Almost like a mass
Right.
email.
Right.
So it's like, I delete half of them because you don't even know what they are. If you want to wrestle for you look at a couple schools, email the coach, call the coach, and be a squeaky wheel. If you really want to go to a school, the squeaky wheel, just keep on peppering the coach. And if he doesn't answer you after 3 or 4 times, then he's not interested in you. So I think it's rude. I try to answer every single kid. But then the other thing is with social media, Gene, they can reach out to you can look up every single kid on every roster. And now with Instagram and Twitter and everything else, they can look up the kids on the team and they can ask those questions we just talked about. They can reach out. As parents, you can reach out to the other moms and say, how's your kid's experience?
Right.
I mean, you have all the tools and you don't have to pay $2,000 to a recruiting site. Maybe I'm hurting someone's numbers, but I'm just telling you, it's so easy to be recruited if you just put a little effort in and use the tools at your fingertips.
Absolutely. No, what you're saying is just being resourceful. And just like you would tell your athletes, being aggressive on the mat, well, being aggressive and doing it the right way, not overstepping the boundaries, being respectful, of course, but being aggressive, like you're saying, reach out to the coach. Don't have such a passive mentality there. Reach out, make the call, and that's what sets you apart from other people. That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
no, it's all good stuff. I just to switch gears before we get off, I just want to give a shout out to Paul Swanson, who worked with our kids in 2019. And that was the first time we ever it was the second time we took a national trophy, but It's we were working with your program, and you did a great job with our kids. And listen, not all our kids bought into it, but the kids who did, you saw they went from here to here, and it's we always talk about mindset and mental toughness and all those things, but you're absolutely right. How much time do we actually put into it? We say it's important. So it
Right.
was the first time in my coaching career we actually put some time aside. Now with the pandemic and the budget cuts, I've told you our challenges. It's harder and harder
Sure.
to, you know, to spend the money. But I can tell you that you ask any of my top level kids who did it, and they'll say they would not have done it any other way, and it was that big of an impact on their wrestling. So I want to give a shout out to Paul.
Thank you, Coach, and I appreciate it. How do we? And we want to shout out JWU. So, what are other things on top of what you already said that makes JWU different than other places? That makes it a great experience, a great environment, on top of already everything you mentioned.
Well, we're in a city, so if you don't like the city, we're in the city with 5 different institutions. We got Brown University, it's a mile away. Providence College, Rhode Island College, where Coach Allen and I went to school. You know, it's RISD. I mean, there's about 25 to 30,000 students right in the city, so it truly is a college town. So if you like the city, it's a great place to go to school. What I love about it is as far as we've always had the phrase Jersey Wrestling University, JWU, Jersey Wrestling University, but we've really tapped into New England and New York over the last few years. I would love to get more Pennsylvania kids. We have kids from all over Ohio. We have 4 different campuses across the country, but really, if you want to wrestle, you got to come to Providence. We have a campus in Denver, Miami, Charlotte, but if you want to wrestle, you got to come to Providence. But I think the distance, if you're a Jersey kid, it's a 3.5 hour, 4 hour drive with no traffic. New York, same thing. So you're away, but you're not so far away. We don't have school on Fridays, which is a nice thing, because if you have a wedding or you have something to do, you can scoot out on Thursday night. Academically, there's a lot of, everyone just thinks that we're a culinary school, and it's just not the truth. I mean, we were founded by 2 women. We started out as a secretarial business school, and that was in 1914. And we evolved, and now we have over 20 cadavers on campus. We have a physician's assistants program that we work with our biology program that's highly competitive. So, I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities other than culinary, but everyone just assumes that's what we're good at. We didn't even start culinary until the 70s, and it was just we had a couple famous alums. And I will say, selfishly, some of our alums that have done really well, I benefit from that, because they need to practice, so they come over to the house and do it. But honestly, we have guys that are in finance doing great, guys that are selling mortgages. Steve Martell was a New Jersey State police officer. He's a cop at Wayne, but he was a New Jersey State champ. So we got guys all over the place that are doing well. As you know, Albus is working with Buxton down there. So it's fun. We probably have 15 or 16 guys that are in law enforcement. So it's been fun seeing everyone's career. But I would say that it's just an opportunity school. Come here. It's very diverse. We've always had a diverse, not just race, but religion, all walks of life. And it's just something I'm really proud of. And we started out with 4 kids, Gene, in 1997. Wow. And right now, we got a huge roster. I think we finished with 48 last year. And now it's hard because we're one of the halves. And there's so many. If you come here, it's tough to, even if you're a multiple-time state place winner, it's tough to break our lineup. Everyone thinks D3, but there's not a lot of money in wrestling. So unless you get significant money at the Division I level, we have a good chance of getting some of these top-tier kids out of different states because they want a chance to wrestle right away. We're a good program. So, anyone that's interested, reach out to me. I'll return a call. I'm accessible.
Absolutely. And we'll send as many people to JWU as we possibly can. So where do we send people as far as website, other social media pages? How do we get them in contact with you?
Yeah, as you know, Coach Allen has won awards for our social media. He does. That's not me. So if you're hitting me up on that, you just got to make sure you get through to JWU Wrestling on Facebook for the older people, Instagram, and Twitter. And Coach, you can reach out to Coach Allen. He'll get me the message, or you just go to our website and just look up, search Google JWU Wrestling, and just hit me up via email or fill out our recruiting questionnaire, and it'll get to me, and I'll get back to you. And if I don't get back to you right away, you need to just keep on peppering me if you're serious about our program.
That's awesome. I love the attitude. I love great information that you have here. I hope all the wrestlers, all the parents, all the coaches taking this very serious, take notes, and really give JWU a look. We love what they're doing. Big tribute to you, Coach, your coaching staff, the alumni, the wrestlers. Great stuff. We appreciate having you on the show.
Absolutely. Hopefully we have a season. Pray, man.
I will do. Take care.
See you, man.
Bye.
Be good.